Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
The Jared Cast.
So it begins.
You hear that, boys? What's that coming down the tracks? It's a clown. We're here to clown on some shitty movies. It's the Jared Cast. Welcome. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Jared. With me, as always, is Jared. How you doing, Jared? Long time no see. Look at us wearing the same clothes as last episode. That's crazy.
I know, man. It's like I recorded in my pajamas or something.
Fucking insane. How you doing? How's life?
Life is good. I just really killed that Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah, how was it? What was the highlight of your Thanksgiving meal? What's the star dish?
I just absolutely nailed the filet mignon.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have enough time to baste, but I made a compound butter ahead of time. So I rested the compound butter. Oh, I put the compound butter on top of the steak while it was resting.
Wow.
And
I'm
it
here
worked.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Hell yeah. Sounds delicious. I was actually told right before recording, well, originally my aunt that I was visiting said that we were having a vegan Thanksgiving, and I almost canceled my flight. But I was just informed before we recorded the last episode that that's no more.
Wow.
And so my Thanksgiving was delightful, I'm sure.
What would you eat at a vegan Thanksgiving?
I don't know. It's not good food, I'll tell you that. The driest mashed potatoes you have ever seen.
Oh my god. Mac and cheese that tastes like mushrooms.
Yeah, just mac. It's just wet pasta. Yeah, tofurkey. I'm not there for it. So
I heard vegan cheese is like just starting to get good, which means that
Okay.
they've gone decades with shitty vegan cheese.
yeah, no thank you. Couldn't do it. But more power to you if you are. The old saying is vegan or be gone, and I'd rather be gone.
Oh man.
Well, we're not here to talk about food though. We're here. We're doing a flippity flop of, I think our first episode. No, our first episode were just westerns that isn't westerns. Maybe our second or third episode, where we did good movies by bad directors. Now we're doing bad movies by good directors. You didn't read the title, did you? That's a surprise to you, I know. We're talking. We went pretty strict with the theme here and kind of honed in on our picks. But that said, we're doing Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Phantom Menace. So strap in.
Strap in. Two legendary directors and two legendarily shitty movies.
Fire up your pod racers, baby. This one's going to be wild.
Oh my god. Ugh. Cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah, but you're going to have to.
Yeah, because we got an actual, like, we're going to start off the episode with some positives, get us worked up a little bit, you know.
Gotta have the posy vibes to outweigh the Maggie vibes.
Yeah, and when you've gone to bed after watching a shitty movie, sometimes you need a bedtime story to ease the pain, you know?
Need a bedtime story read aloud by a sultry or seductive or deep or whatever tickles your fancy kind of voice.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think of all the curveballs Jared's thrown at me, this is the one that sticks out the most because he texted me this idea to do top 5 actors we would want to read a bedtime story to us, or top 5 celebrities.
Yeah,
I don't know if all of your people are actors, but
they are.
Okay,
I went all actors.
Cool. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting list. I'm excited for it.
I made us pick the bedtime story.
Yeah,
so you can have some good pairs in there.
So you're getting a top 10. It's just two
Yeah.
fives smushed together.
That's just
you're
the
welcome.
kind of efficiency you get here at the Jared Cast. You can't find that anywhere else.
Not at all. Not at all. Anyway, shall I start or would you like to start?
I'll start. Why not? I'll be greedy. My number 5. This came out of. I went with mostly children's books, which I think is fair for a bedtime story theme.
I did all children's books, yeah.
Yeah, this one was mostly for the comedic value because I know he'd throw some ad libs in there. And so I got Sam Jackson reading The Very Hungry Motherfucking Caterpillar.
That's great.
I was like, what's the most innocent book that I would want to hear the word fuck in too many times?
You would need to ad lib too, because there are not that many words in that book.
No. But I tell you what, every third word's going to have a little extra in there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
My book is very hard to translate from the page because the pictures and the words go so well together and go so well in the sequence together. I want someone who's really animated, really experienced, really willing to go to depths that no one has ever gone before in their craft of acting. So I got Willem Dafoe reading Where the Wild Things Are for my number 5.
I think love that shit. That's tight.
This is like a legitimately good audiobook, I think.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yeah, like I don't know if it would help me fall asleep because I'd be so stoked on it. But I think it would just be a marvelous combination of talent.
Yeah. Speaking of talent, we heard about a movie involving this actor last episode. Wow, so long ago.
Ooh.
I fell in love with her voice in the movie Her, like I'm sure we all did. I did Scarlett Johansson, and I couldn't think of a good book, so I put Holes because it's nostalgic as fuck for me as a child. I read the shit out of that book, and it's an innuendo. So I'm doing Scarlett Johansson reading me Holes.
Of course.
Like, never mind. I was gonna make a weird joke. You can cut this, but this is not gonna play well for the crowd. But I was gonna say
Stupid. Oh shit. All right. Sorry, Scarlett.
loopy mood already.
Sorry, Scarlett. Happy for your win against the mouse.
Respectfully.
Anyway, my number 4 is an Academy Award winner for a very good reason, and actually for the movie that she won with, she changed her voice, which is interesting. But she has one of the most recognizable voices, one of the most recognizable accents in the history of cinema. She said on a late night show once that in order to not get recognized, she just doesn't talk because people immediately pick up on who she is. And it's Holly Hunter, of course, famous from Raising Arizona, The Piano, but most famous from The Incredibles and probably The Big Sick as well. I got her reading Goodnight Moon. I think that would just be the most soothing shit ever. I think.
She's got a good mom voice.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good mom voice. Really, really lovely accent, lovely voice all around. I absolutely love her as an actress, not just her voice. And so it would be just nice as a fan and really soothing.
Yeah. I don't think we could have a top 5 about voices without this obligatory pick. So I'm just gonna get it out of the way and drop this off and move on with my life. I got James Earl Jones reading Go Dog Go.
Ooh, I forgot about Go Dog Go. That's a good one.
That's like my favorite childhood book growing up. I fucked up Go Dog Go. And I just think it'd be cool to have such a dramatic voice, getting those low notes talking about dog party hats. That's all I need in life.
Hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. For my number 3, I got it's my only poetry entry. I think I like I like poetry with humor in it, and I also like but like when it's for adults it's kind of lame, you know. With the exception of Billy Collins, I think he's brilliant, but Shel Silverstein wrote Where the Sidewalk Ends, and it's one of my favorite books of all time. It's such a great collection of stuff, and I would want it read by someone whose voice I could listen to for hours and hours and hours without ever getting tired of it. So of course I picked for Where the Sidewalk Ends, Chris Rock. I think it would be amazing. Yeah. I would want to go to sleep to that. Yeah,
I'm here for it. I don't know if I would be able to get through the whole book. I feel like his voice kind of grades on me after like an hour, but that's just me.
Yeah.
My number 2 is a very fitting pair. I would be surprised if this doesn't already exist for some reason. He's known for his voice. He's one of those actors, pretty much lending to voice acting alone as his main gig. I'm talking Nature Doc Daddy himself, David Attenborough, reading me The Lorax by Dr. Seuss.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got that little environmental twist too. I like it.
Yeah. I got to do something that he'd be willing to do, you know?
That's true. I could also picture him just like if you ever remade the Lorax, you could have him play the Lorax. That'd be great.
True.
I got someone with my top 2 are both people with multiple voices, and for this one, kind of a legendary but also underrated voice actress. She's not really known mostly for the voice, but she voiced Huey and Riley in the Boondocks, and is still remembered to this day for that. And I think she'd be excellent in handling the sibling dynamics and the bickering in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I'm talking about Regina King doing The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I think it'd be awesome. And she also is a great. She handles her monologues really, really well in Watchmen and in other movies, and so I think she could really handle. She could really not handle, but like have a good commanding presence when she reads C.S. Lewis's prose.
Yeah, that's a rad combo. I'm here for it. My number 1 started as my number 5 until I realized how good this pairing is with this book that it just jumped up to number 1 for me.
Nice.
One bedtime story that I probably read too much was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. A little bit of horror in there.
Yeah.
And I think the perfect voice for it would have been Vincent Price. Reading that. Right? After hearing The Raven and the intro to Thriller, I'm like, fuck, that is all I want. It's theatric enough, but it keeps it spooky and it's pleasant to listen to. Knock it out of the park, number 1.
Absolutely. Legend himself, Vincent Price. I love him. My number 1's a kind of a modern legend, especially in indie cinema. And I think I don't know, there's something about her.
Mary.
No, there's something about the specific timbre and the specific tone of her voice, because it's posh, but it's also got a little bit of Scottish in there, and so and she can change her accent and she can change her voice really well, and so I think it'd be really interesting to have this person read the whole Winnie the Pooh series. because she does have like an also soft quality to her voice, and I'm talking about Tilda Swinton, of course.
Yeah.
One of my favorite just general actors of all time. I think she could. I think she'd just be a great actor for to play Pooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tilda Swinton reading Winnie the Pooh.
Hell yeah. I haven't stopped thinking about casting her as David Bowie since we had that question on our Q&A.
Right?
It's just been on my mind. Yeah, great list. I'm glad we did such a out of left field topic.
You
I'll-
too,
I'll-
man.
I'll tell the audience where this came from too. I was listening to an audiobook of the Lord of the Rings trilogy read by Andy Serkis, and I was like, oh, well, let's see what other actors would pair well with a bedtime story. And so here we are.
Hell yeah. Alrighty.
All right, let's
Let's bring on the pain.
let's do it.
Bring the pain, I think, is the Chris Rock special. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's bring the pain, starting with the Phantom Menace. Ooh. Before we start, though, we've got another installment of poorly written reviews of movies that watch because it's funny to make some laugh and stuff. This one is a positive review by Global Marketing Pros.
I knew you would do this.
Who gave it a 10 out of 10. This one, I wanted so badly to do this one that I found, but it got too sad because it was this guy who rated the movie 10 out of 10 and wrote like 10 paragraphs on why he should be president of like a Star Wars fan club. And it was like so sweet and heartbreaking to read. And then at the end, it was like, so please vote for me on this website. And I clicked the link and it did not exist. And for some reason, that just made me real sad. So I went with this one anyways. It's still fantastic. So Global Marketing Pros gave it a 10 out of 10, titling their review, Track 2, Electric Music, Esperanto Atlantic 82604-2. Okay. The Phantom Menace within ourselves. The Phantom Menace within ourselves can be an ally or a self-defeating enemy. Control and self-reflection is what is needed to bring this duality of man to life within the giant capacitor scene of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Menace. The unknown or fear-verse knowledge and the insight to use that knowledge correctly. In Pennsylvania, Westinghouse Electric was fortunate to use a giant Van de Graaff generator for atom smashing studies in particle physics. If not for the lumber industry and train disasters, George Westinghouse and Nikola Tesla may have never met, but the air brake changed the history in the lumber industry of the West. Tesla changed AC voltage production with Westinghouse at Niagara Falls. Thus, history was altered by economic pressure. Orthodox values and change with conditions is a vital thought process. For example, 200 years ago, a British general by the name St. Clair was defeated in western Pennsylvania by 6 nations of native North Americans because of his orthodox military values against guerrilla warfare. Today, in modern cinema, what does the Phantom Menace really offer in terms of entertainment? High quality color and sound. Does the plot really reflect the major theme of the Star Wars trilogy, or is entertainment being driven like technology by economic pressure? When a pilot is asked to do duty in combat, do they need to ask why? Who is the combat pilot? The stress of advancing technology pushing the human physiology to its limits of failure. Why must the combat pilot do their duty? Is it a job or is it a duty? I guess it depends on the person given the I guess it depends on the person, and given the person, they decide the duty to match skill and desire to meet the objective. Take the movie
Bro.
for what it's worth. In terms of entertainment, I liked it. Mostly it was the color and lighting.
That's the worst one, I'm pretty sure. That's horrible.
I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Oh, man. That was a doozy. I love it.
I just like they're like back to Nikola Tesla. And then they end it with like the color and lighting was pretty good. 10 out of 10.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how to transition into our feelings about the movie.
No, me neither. But we'll give it a shot. Phantom Menace, directed by George Lucas, came out in 1999. It's a bad movie. Next. It's the first of the notorious prequels that everybody kind of just hates, and for good reason. It's not a good movie. There's a couple cool aspects of this movie that I enjoy. One, pod racing. Dope concept. I'm into it. Kind of somewhat decently executed. I'm okay with it. And then Darth Maul is just cool. He's barely in it, but he's cool. And that's about it. And so for that reason, I gave it a 2 out of 10. There's a lot bad with this movie. I think it looks terrible. Jar Jar is even more annoying than I remember. Every time I think about this movie, I'm like, okay, people hate Jar Jar. He's not that bad. He can't be that obnoxious. He is. I'll say it. It is worth the hype of how bad he is. And he looks terrible. It's the worst CG ever. Yeah. Like the CGI in the original trilogy, or not CGI because it was mostly practicals, but the special effects in the original trilogy, miles ahead of everything in this movie somehow, despite this movie coming out like 20 years later. It's just a bad movie, man. It's just real bad.
Yeah, I'm always there's this clip in my head that to use terms that the kids use these days. It lives in my head rent free. And it's of George Lucas watching the first cut of the Phantom Menace and him like kind of having this moment of like, I think I went too far on this one. I don't know if that's what he says word for word, but it's pretty close. Because, you know, even if you fixed the racism, even if you fixed the acting, even if you fixed the special effects, actually the updated sound mix is pretty amazing. Okay. Even if you took out the midichlorians, even if you updated the Coruscant lighting and made it like bearable, even if you made the Jedi Council actually developed,
a lot of even ifs going on now.
It would still be a really, really bad script. And, you know, Star Wars has always been heavy-handed. That's kind of the charm of it. That's kind of what I like about the original trilogy and what I like about two of the sequels. But this dialogue, particularly in the Jar Jar scenes and in the departure of Anakin from Tatooine, it's barely tolerable. Even if it's meant for children, the dialogue shouldn't reveal everything that the characters are feeling. Like, Empire is a great example. Like, you know, it's a mystery what Luke will choose and what Luke will say and what he's feeling. And you gotta have to watch the movie to figure it out. But because it's just George Lucas writing this thing, he's saying all of the characters' feelings, and it's really, really infuriating. Like Padme is cool on paper, but like not like just as an not like just as an idea. But like the dialogue is really bad, like and so like all of that falls flat. Yeah, there's almost not the you could cut out most of the movie and like just have like Anakin joining the Jedi, and that's all you basically need. You can literally make all the prequels, because there's so much fat in them. You can make them into one 3.5 hour movie, and it would be a cool movie, I think.
Yeah.
This movie could even be a good like 45-minute movie, but instead we got a terribly bland one, almost from start to finish. And but the huge problem with the script is that everything's tied together so tightly. Everything's interwoven. Like Jar Jar's journey is so interwoven with Qui-Gon Jinn's. You can't separate them. You can't just cut Jar Jar out of the movie, otherwise it wouldn't make sense. So this movie is cursed with its own presence of Jar Jar. And the Battle of Naboo takes an hour and 46 to get there. An hour and 46 to get to the Battle of Naboo. It's horrible. It's very, very below average. I have maybe a couple more positives than Jared does. We'll get into those later. But I gave it a 4.1. Or no, 4.0. Definitely below average filmmaking, but still a couple things that I enjoy.
Fair enough. I got 2 quick Jar Jar fun facts for you.
Go for it.
Michael Jackson wanted to be Jar Jar Binks.
Would have been more watchable.
Would have been.
Would have been horrible for the Star Wars legacy.
Well, so is Jar Jar.
Yeah.
And then my other Jar Jar fact is the guy who did voice it, Ahmed Best, was a voice actor in the smash hit Reservoir Dogs video game for the original Xbox.
Wait. Who did he play?
I have no idea. I couldn't find it, but he's in there. He's credited.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a video game, and I love that it is. But anyways, Phantom Menace. Huh? It's like you were talking about the dialogue. We can start there. It's terrible. It's pretty terrible throughout all the prequels. I think it's really the biggest downfall of the prequels, because the story of Anakin could be a good one. It's a nice origin story that like has potential, and if you're gonna make prequels, it's probably one of the only directions to go. But like I wrote down that like it's literally written so that every word that's said is just George Lucas talking directly to you and not a character talking to another character. There's like no distinction between characters. Even Yoda doesn't have a personality in this, which is crazy. It's just George Lucas using puppets in front of us for like 2 hours, and it's insane. I think you hit the nail on the head saying that it's just characters saying their thoughts out loud for a while. And it absolutely is. The dialogue is atrocious. Even disregarding the special effects and all the visual problems with this, just every sentence out of anybody's mouth just makes you cringe. And this movie doesn't even have the "I hate sand" in it. It doesn't even have that just like notorious scene. It's just bad. But I'll let you shit on the dialogue a little more in depth if you want.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because none of these actors are bad actors. No.
It's got a pretty decent cast.
a few of them are excellent actors. Some of them are not great actors, but like pretty good actors. Like, but for instance, Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor, Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace Windu, or not Mace Windu, fucking Samuel L. Jackson. Sorry.
I loved Qui-Gon Jinn in Trainspotting. He was fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry. Ewan McGregor, fucking Liam Neeson. I don't even want to think of them as themselves because I feel so bad for them.
Yeah.
That this is on
Fun
their
Liam
resume.
Neeson fact of this movie. They built the sets as tall as the actors, and Liam Neeson was so tall he added an extra $150,000 to the budget.
Yeah. So gnarly. Yeah, like quite a few of these actors are not bad in their other movies, and so it stands to reason that the fault lies in lazy directing. And so we like on top of being writer, he was the director of the film, and his storytelling ability and his handle on performances is incredibly sloppy here, and the way it comes, the clearest example of this is in the dialogue, of course, but also just all the flashy and beautiful details from Lucas's imagination are just buried underneath this underneath the bad acting and underneath the and what I love about Tatooine in the first movie is like all the background actors are like really hardened criminals and like really like interesting people, but like none of the background actors are convincing in here at all. Like we don't get the sense of privilege and luxury that we would that we should be getting from the people of Naboo. We just kind of get people in costumes standing there, and it's such a shame, honestly, because I'm gonna talk about like some of my positives which relate to design. Like Naboo is really beautifully designed. It's the colors are amazing. The sound mix, when you hear the water moving, when you hear the ships moving in the sky, the score by John Williams when you come into the planet is great. And he throws so many new spaceships at us, and they're all pretty cool. But again, it all gets buried. It all gets immediately like just I can't focus on the textures of Star Wars, and the textures of Star Wars is Star Wars. So it was very disappointing. The dialogue moving into the directing as well.
Yeah, every planet that this movie takes place on just feels false. You can see the green screen on like every shot of it. And when your movie looks worse than Dinotopia did, it's a problem. It's like, I'll take what was his name, like Binky or something, the fucking nerdy dinosaur. I can't remember his name. Blippy, something like that. I don't know. But when he looks better than Jar Jar Binks, you've run into a wall. And like it just feels like that totally falsified, no real lived in environments. I compare Naboo to Endor, with the Ewok homies, because they're both very nature driven planets. This one's a little more swampy and water based, obviously.
Zippo.
Zippo. I was so wrong. What I call it, like Blippy. Not it. I'm losing my mind out here just thinking about Phantom Menace. But all of the planets in this, from Coruscant to Naboo, is like just bastardized like B-movie type set pieces. They don't feel lived in. They don't feel real or different or like interesting. I'm not looking around the frame to see what background characters are doing, like you said with Tatooine. Like it's all just fucking motorboating frogmen that I don't give a shit about. Like I just don't care. And it's such a little tragedy.
Yeah. Coruscant is one of the worst aspects of the original of the prequel trilogy, I think.
Which
is
sucks because there's potential there. It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
It's great in the Star Wars video game. I loved it there.
I was gonna say, like Battlefront 2, that's one of my favorite maps, is the Jedi Temple.
Hell yeah.
But Coruscant, outer space, Jabba's arena, they all look fake as shit. You can kind of see, like, I noticed on the Disney Plus version, like it looks like it looks just a hair better, but it still looks really bad. Because they, instead of having like the blue line, they've kind of added a blur.
Yeah, they've like tried to fix it.
And it's like not it looks like they tried to fix it. It doesn't look
Yeah.
good.
There's still a definite line of where people end and blue screen starts.
Yeah. What else you got?
And like that stuff, I'm going to dwell on that for a second longer. Like stuff for like Coruscant, you don't even need a green screen. You could build a set. You're Star Wars. You got the budget for it. Like it's, if you're just walking through a hallway, you don't have to film that on green screen. Like it's just, a lot of it is so weirdly unnecessary that it's crazy to me.
I agree. I think that's kind of the blessing and the curse of George Lucas, right? Because that's what that drive to push for new technology, even when it's not ready yet. That's what led to the first trilogy of Star Wars, and that's what led to like a lot of great shit from that. But it's unfortunate that like I think that all that talent and that drive that he has to push for like to push for new effects and push for new tech, like it really just falls flat here, and it's such a shame. Yeah.
Absolutely. I guess we could dip our toes into the racism bucket now.
Sure.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's also very unnecessary. I don't know why Queen Amidala has to look Asian the whole time too. That part's strange. Yeah. What are your thoughts as the resident ethnic of the Jared?
as the token. No. No. I'm just kidding. As Brown Jared.
Our chief diversity officer, Jared, will say.
I'm willing to bet that Google and Facebook have a CDO. Like, they just don't tell people about it.
Absolutely.
Anyway, sorry. It's hard to say exactly how, but like almost every scene just feels a little racist. Like it just has that like little touch to it. There's a few Jewish, Asian, and Caribbean stereotypes that are woven into so many of the non-human characters. You also mentioned some of the design with Amidala, looking like a geisha. I don't get it. He didn't come. He nothing in Lucas's like previous filmography came across as racist to me. I think it was either just insensitivity or just like nobody told him no. I think that's the curse of the whole prequel trilogy is nobody was around him to say no to his ideas, and so maybe he had something buried in there about Jews and that came out, and nobody stopped. None of the Jewish people on the thing stopped him.
Came out strong on the anti-Semitic front on this movie. That's probably the most obvious one in here.
Yeah, and it's such a weird thing because like he was someone who was very anti-Vietnam. He was very like progressive in the 70s, and then to see this is like it's so jarring. It's so weird, and
So
I don't know.
jarring.
It's so jarring. It's so jarring. That's I don't want to dwell too much on that.
No, we don't have to.
It's very, very sickening when I watch this movie.
Absolutely. But it's worth talking about.
And
then there is also stuff that like for me, Star Wars is like my Marvel movies. I'm not a Marvel fan, but it's like I'm just there to like watch shit blow up and like have a good time. I'm not there for like some in-depth story, and so I kind of take it for what it is in general with Star Wars. But there's some things that just have always bugged me. I don't know. This is leading up to a question if there's some weird just things about Star Wars in general that bleed into this movie. But the example for me is how easy it is for Jedis to deflect bullets. I don't know why, but it's always just so casual. And they're always just like walking down the street, just like doing this with their wrist. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's always bugged me. And there's a couple little things like that bleed into Phantom Menace that it kind of just exemplifies for me. But are there any general Star Wars qualms that you find yourself noticing here?
Oh, the big thing is the midichlorians.
Yeah.
The idea of just shooting your mystery and your wonder in the foot by saying it's bacteria. The Force is bacteria, or the Force is we connect to the Force through bacteria. Like I mean, come on, man! Like
It's just in your blood.
Let mysticism be mysticism. Like this is like, and I think that's beautiful about the original trilogy. They don't explain everything in the original trilogy.
No.
They say the Clone Wars literally like that, and that's all you get for the Clone Wars. Boba Fett is literally on screen for less than 5 minutes, and it's so insane to me. Like, why would you ever do this with your lore, man? It's your lore, and I don't know, man.
Just giving away your whimsy for a stupid DNA test. Seem like, oh, yeah. Pretty loaded up on the Force in this one, huh?
Yeah, like there's a cooler way to do that. Like throw a rock at him and see if he catches it with the Force. Like that would be awesome.
Like his back is turned and he just like ducks behind it, like without looking or something. Like that'd just be tight.
Yeah, it would be awesome. That would be awesome. But no, you gotta just read it on a digital thing.
And the pod racing scene is ripe for opportunity to show like raw talent.
Exactly.
But you don't even really get it out of that scene at all.
The only thing they say is that he's human, so he must have the Force if he's pod racing. That's it. For the lightsaber thing, I will say this. Nobody wins in Star Wars based on skill. They always win based on the Force deciding like how to balance things out. And so the Force will attune their senses to where the bullets are, and that's how they catch things. The Force will attune Palpatine to the movements of the Jedi, and that's how he's able to cause their downfall. The Force will attune it's all just this. It should be this giant mystical like force that just kind of manipulates everything, and you're just supposed to trust that, basically.
Yeah. But like, I just hate how casual that part of it is.
Yeah,
like there's like a whole army shooting at them, and they're just like, "Okay, guys, get in the spaceship. We'll just be here protecting you." And it's just like, why is a gun a weapon of choice for so many if it's just that easy?
Yeah, it is. I agree because and I think that's on the fault of the choreographer for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because there is a way to make someone easily block bullets but still look cool doing it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
What did you like about it?
About the lore specifically?
Or just about the movie. We could get into the positives.
I like the way they tie R2-D2's destiny with the Skywalkers from the very beginning. I thought that was really cool and really touching to see him.
And even C-3PO's origin is pretty decent.
Yeah. I thought that was actually really, really cool and really well. I don't know if it's well executed because of the dialogue, but
R2's dialogue is great.
This is the biggest compliment I can give the writing. Like on an outline, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, like lore. Like you're just like, the destiny and all this stuff. Like, I think the Duel of the Fates is incredible. The idea that this moment that made Obi-Wan Kenobi who he is, the losing of his master and the triumph over a Sith Lord, is also the moment that kind of ties his destiny in with Darth Vader. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think that's the only thing you really need from this movie to understand Star Wars. And I also really love Ewan McGregor. He sadly doesn't have anything to do here, but at least someone's having fun, I think.
Yeah.
You know, he
apparently he was making like lightsaber noises in every scene. He was swinging one around because he got carried away with it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mentioned some of the ship designs are cool. That's it. It's the way that I would nitpick a really positive movie for small things. I'm nitpicking positive things for a really negative movie. I'm gonna bring my score down, man. This is too. I'm gonna bring it to a 3.3. This is dumb.
Fair enough. Almost on par with The Graduate. Yeah, I do also like droidicas. I've always been a fan of droidicas.
They're cool.
They're badass as fuck.
Yeah.
And they're like the only threatening droid in any Star Wars movie, really. And so I like it for that. Besides General Grievous, who my boy. Yeah. But yeah, it's a bad movie. There's cool aspects of it that are buried pretty heavily in here.
Yeah.
But overall, I know it's a hot take to say Phantom Menace is bad, but Phantom Menace is bad.
It's bad, and if you and I genuinely there are so many people who still defend George Lucas's prequels, and I still have not heard a good argument. So please
I work with one of them, and he says it every week. Once a week, dude. He does.
Oh my god. Any other notes about it, or do you want to?
I think. Also, we didn't talk about Palpatine much, but he's not in this much. But he's so obviously evil from the get-go. There's no suspension of disbelief there. I feel like it's
the way he whispers into Natalie Portman's ears, so creepy.
Yeah. You see it coming from a mile away. Padme and Queen Amidala are both dumb. Queen Amidala has one scene where she comes out of the crowd. She's like, "Oh, that's my body double. I had to know if I could trust you." We're like, "Okay, she's got a brain at least."
Yeah.
Cool.
Did you recognize the body double?
Yeah, it was what's her face?
It was your favorite actress.
Yeah. I don't watch her movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have any favorite scenes? Mine might be pod racing because I'm nostalgic for the video game too.
Sure.
Like the pod racing game. And then the duel with Darth Maul is fine. A waste of Darth Maul, but it's good enough for the movie.
Yeah. It's the duel of the fates. I even though the choreography is a little dated, the scene of when they're just waiting for the doors and Qui-Gon just sits down and starts meditating. I thought that was the most badass shit ever. I was that's a real Jedi right there. Uh-huh. I generally think he's got some genuine samurai swag in overall, even though he doesn't have a whole lot to do dramatically. I think Liam Neeson swags. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way the Jedi are represented in the film is very, very bothersome to me because they're built up as these legends, and I think starting them off as kind of boring politicians kind of shoots yourself in the foot. I think it would have been better if they started off as the legendary samurai heroes that we know, and then you see the corruption and the politicians and stuff.
Yeah.
The way they just cut to Yoda is okay.
Cool.
I don't know why you
just
wouldn't build to it.
Senator, basically.
Yeah. They're these are the most badass men and women in the galaxy, and we just cut to them sitting in a room.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Chatting away and being snarky. It's weird.
Yeah.
All right. That's all from Lucas. Oh, wait. No, we've got another franchise on our hands.
Yeah, man. The other love child of George Lucas.
Yeah.
But also Steven Spielberg. Yeah.
But also, before we jump into the Kingdom of the Crystal Dole, am I right? We've got another installment of Jared reads poorly written reviews because it's funny and it makes him laugh and stuff. Another 10 out of 10 review coming from Movie Guy 81007, who says, best Indiana Jones film ever. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the best Indiana Jones film ever because it does not contain screaming. I think Spielberg has done it again. I think Harrison Ford did a good job. I think Shia LaBeouf did a good job. And Cate Blanchett did a good job. This is my order for Indiana Jones films. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I also like John Williams' score for this movie. This movie still has Indiana Jones touches. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was my favorite until I saw this one.
Okay.
It's not the most atrocious review, but the order for his favorites are insane. It's literally just reversed.
Yeah, like exactly. Oh man. Ugh.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. Maybe I would put Raiders first. I don't know. We'll see. I got to rewatch them again. Yeah, I grew up being really, really a huge fan of the original trilogy. I watched it on I think VHS first in my aunt's house, and I was like, "Whoa, there are Nazis! Whoa, their faces are melting! Whoa, this is cool!" And then let's watch the next one. Oh shit, there are slaves! Oh shit, they're being set on fire! And like, there's so many like great like moments that just punch you in the face with flavor and with just style and brash, like brash cinema. Like that's what the Indiana Jones felt like. It felt like Spielberg and Lucas were taking the stories that they grew up with as children and just playing with them, using all the skills at their disposal. And the result was 3 really, really, really beautiful action movies. I still consider Raiders of the Lost Ark in the top 10 of all time. But it all kind of falls apart here. I think nothing that they bring that's good to the original trilogy is brought here. Besides Ford's performance, I think he's pretty good in the movie. He doesn't have a whole lot to do dramatically, but he's okay. I think it's always nice to see John hurt, even when he has nothing to do. I think the rocket cart gag is fun. That's a nice like Spielbergian thing, and I think Cate Blanchett is fine in the movie. I think she's an okay villain. But I think from the really fakest shit gopher in the first shot, I think that sets the entire tone for the whole movie. Yeah.
I wrote the gopher and the magnet set the entire tone for this movie.
Yeah, like even those like even when he's being intentionally great with foreshadowing, Spielberg is unintentionally great foreshadowing how bad this movie's going to be when it comes out. It's so just blah all the way through, and none of the hits carry any impact. We have the forward momentum doesn't really make sense, and the film is ultimately like really, like it's fine if it's a little heavy-handed because it's Indiana Jones, but there's this quote at the end that really got on
I know exactly what you're about to say.
We're gonna get into it later, but even that is not the biggest sin of this movie. This movie commits an even bigger sin, and there's only one scene that I actually love. But other than that, this movie is, I think, a total failure, a total waste of Jim Broadbent, by the way.
True.
Total waste of Karen Allen. It's a 3.7. There's really not a lot to love here. What did you think?
Yeah, same. At the end of the day, like there's there's some okay action sequences and ideas, and that's about it. I think a lot of wasted characters and a lot of wasted. I don't want to say potential because it doesn't even try to lift anything off the ground. But like the wasted installment of a franchise. You mentioned Harrison Ford doing good. I don't even think he's that good in this. Like you're already getting the phoning it in heavy Harrison Ford, even more than he kind of already has. I don't know. I'm a Harrison Ford critic. I think he's a little overrated because he kind of just plays Harrison Ford in every movie. And I think this is no exception. I don't really see too much in him. Shia LaBeouf is a great actor. He doesn't need to be here in this. The father plotline, you see it from a mile away and you wish it would stay further, is pretty much how I feel about that. Even like wasting Cate Blanchett so hard and her terrible accent is bad. The visuals of this movie are bad. The green screen in this is about as bad as the green screen in Phantom Menace. Yeah. The rubber snake is terrible. Everything is just bad. There's like one or two scenes that I'm kind of okay with, and that bumps it up a little bit. But yeah, a lot from ADR to convenient Deus Ex Machinas at every single scene to get us to the next one, to even John Williams' score is pretty weak in this. I gave it a 3 out of 10 across the board. It's just not good.
No.
The only
really
difference
isn't.
is Indiana Jones compared to Star Wars is kind of more on the nose and like borderline B movie with A movie budget kind of feel to it. And so I buy into the tackiness just slightly more. Otherwise, it would just be another 2 with Phantom Menace.
Yeah. I agree. You talked about the bad CGI. We can start there. Locations are part of the magic of like the blimp in Last Crusade, or the train in The Last Crusade, or the bridge on Temple of Doom, or even the finale of Raiders. It's a great looking location because it feels real. And here almost every single set is ass.
You can't tell some motherfucking nerd in a library to say, if you want to be an archaeologist, you got to get out of the library, kid. If out of the library just looks like garbage.
So true. Did you? Is that all your notes about it, or did you have anything else? Or
about the bad CGI?
Yeah.
I mean, from the sight of gunpowder flying through the sky in a mystical cloud in a warehouse, it's just not going to look good. That and the gopher set you up in terms of the visuals of the movie as well. So much of it just looks bad. Like it just looks inauthentic, cheap, very cheap looking. And there's just no, like, you don't feel like you're along for a mystery or an adventure if the adventure looks like a green screen with some dirt on the floor. Like, that's it.
It's real bad. Yeah.
Put us in the world.
And it doesn't help too that the lighting is so it feels unnatural. And I think most of the shots in the movie are pretty underexposed. I don't know why. I don't know what they were thinking.
Because that's how you make it look gritty.
I don't know, man. I don't know. And then, like, and then in the beginning, it's overexposed too. Like, it's weird. How do you talked a little bit about Shia LaBeouf being a good actor. How did you feel about Mutt as a character overall?
He's terrible. He's so obnoxious, and you don't like. really see any redeeming qualities in him, even after it's supposed to be resolved, and like we know that Harrison Ford is Shia LaBeouf's dad and like all that shit. You still don't give a shit about this guy. Like, he's nothing, like he doesn't have the swagger of Indy. Like there's some Indy in him in that he gets out of situations and that's about it. The greaser shtick is annoying. The only sometime redeemable part of that is when his like hand is shaking when he's combing his hair, but even that's a so bad it's good moment, and so it's not even because of quality that it pays off well. Yeah, it's just a waste of Shia. But this was also like part of the Shia LaBeouf is the face of our new franchise kind of phase with like Transformers and shit like that, and so you just kind of get that watered down, inauthentic Shia LaBeouf to the max here, and it's bad. It's bad.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, and the whole idea of him swinging through the trees with the monkeys.
Yeah,
what were they thinking, man?
What?
and the way John Williams punches up the score in that scene,
like it's some Tarzan, Phil Collins type shit. Like, get out of here.
No. There is a lot of potential though in like Indiana Jones in the 50s dealing with that kind of culture. Like,
yeah,
they like the Nuketown design is cool. Doesn't fit in the story at all, but it looks cool.
No, it's out of nowhere too.
And everything he's talking about in the interrogation about the stuff he's done in his past,
Yeah.
all of it is cooler than the movie. He's like, yeah, I rode with Pancho Villa. Like, what? Where's that movie?
Yeah, show us that instead of this
Bring
alien
Indy to Mexico.
bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I will say one thing they do right in the lighting and coloring department is they don't have the yellow filter, which is good. That's the one benefit.
There's no yellow filter. Yep. I have no idea though what the small like Mayan ninja graveyard people were there for.
No, and there's no and there's no danger with any of them. Ever.
No.
Like the most dangerous part, the blowing the blow dart back into the dude's mouth is kind of cool, but but there's like no danger or risk at any point in this entire movie, despite it's supposed to be like, ooh, the most dangerous quest yet. Like everybody's dying for this, even looking at its eyes is dangerous, and you're just like, all right, so there's just no shot that anybody ever dies in this.
Yeah, that kind of brings me. That's a great transition to what I alluded to earlier as the biggest sin of this of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Because even if you took out the aliens, even if you took out the weird psychic stuff, even if you and they use the psychic stuff as a cheat code for the entire second half of the movie, it's so dumb. Even if you redid all of that, the movie still commits one unforgivable crime. It's that they make Indiana Jones invincible. And the entire charm of Raiders of the Lost Ark is that he gets beaten down over and over and over again, and he gets back up. He climbs under a truck, up again, and takes out both of the people inside the truck after getting knocked over. Like, that's insane. That's insane. And that was like, what, 30 years before this movie, and it's still... And for some reason, they think it's cool to just have him never get shot, never get hit in the face. Or he gets hit in the face a couple times. He gets knocked down exactly once in the entire movie. And he's this unstoppable superhero who takes out KGB guys in one punch. And we never feel like he's endangered because of that. The sense of adventure, the sense of his suspense is automatically dead.
Mm-hmm. Even the closest he gets to danger is probably like the quicksand, which also fuck you for putting that in. Like, just right off the bat, fuck you. But it's like they start going quickly and you're like, oh shit, like some real peril. And then once it gets to their waist, they stop moving for the rest of the scene. Like, they just don't get any lower. When he's refusing to grab the snake, he's not like to the neck and like struggling to breathe. He's pretty comfortable. He's like sitting in a lounge chair in there. And it's just hokey.
Yeah. There's a really long and really drawn out chase after that sequence in the jungle. We talked a little bit about with the monkey swinging, but what'd you think about the like car chase overall?
I think the one in the very beginning of the movie is better when he's like escaping vaguely European Kate Blanchett. I think that one's better. The car chase at the end is it's fine. I think having ants be a obstacle was at least kind of new. Like, there's not a lot of ant scenes in movies, I guess. Is this reaching? But like the car chase itself is just the most cookie cutter bland car chase, which Indiana Jones is supposed to be anything but. That is bland and like non-surprising and just kind of watching it for fodder. Yeah, I agree. And the one aspect I liked about that jungle car chase was the fencing. I thought that was kind of cool, but like even then it was like they didn't get cut enough, they didn't get scratched enough. It should have been more like be Spielberg. Like, what are you doing, man? Ugh. It pains me, man. It pains me. Yeah, it's rough.
Marion, what did you think about this character?
Out of nowhere to try to give the film heart for no reason. Like she has no ties to like the main conflict of him trying to get this skull back to its place. And so when she pops up, you're like, oh, okay. It's like, hey, remember this person? She's back. Like, it's just so like ham-fisted. And then you're like, oh, it's his mom. And you're like, okay, so Indy's the dad. Like, we know where this is going. And it's just to try to give the film some sort of punch when it already lost its wind up like 3 hours before that point. And so it's just like a last ditch effort to save the movie that doesn't come close to saving it at all.
Yeah. They super dropped the ball just on the character in general. Someone who was a great supporting character with her own agenda in the first movie got totally sidelined. She's literally the driver. Yeah. That's it. And
that's that.
I mean, that's what made her so great about I know it sounds like I'm critiquing based on nostalgia, but no, it's fundamental. It's a fundamental writing technique. Like a character is more fun when they have their own desires. They have their own, when they're active in the story.
Which, like, almost none of the characters do. Like, even Indy is like, well, I have this thing. I might as well do this.
And it's crazy because both Spielberg and George Lucas taught me that. They taught me that with their earlier movies. What's going on? I don't get it.
I don't either.
Okay. There is one scene that I loved. We can do this and then one more thing and then we can end it.
All right. What's the scene you love?
It's the ants. I think that was it's the most violent moment in the movie. It's the most it's the hardest to watch when I see a Russian guy choking on the thing that's killing him. I thought that was dope. And you can see him like squirming and crying and like screaming for like whatever. That's the Indiana Jones movie I want, man. You got to get the characters need to experience pain.
Yeah. It's very what's their name in The Mummy? The bugs,
scarabs.
Scarabs. It's very Scarabs in the Mummy, and I like it. I mentioned that there were 2 scenes that I liked in this movie at the beginning of the review. That's one of them. It's like they don't look good visually. It's like a little much, but like it's a cool obstacle to overcome. Them taking the hat away is a cool Indiana Jones moment when he like grabs it and puts it on a little too calmly. Didn't even check if there were ants inside. Kind of a bold move, but and so like it's cool. I like it too. And then purely nostalgia. What little nostalgia there is for this movie, it's the Nuketown scene. It does come out of nowhere, but I think watching them test it on Mythbusters put some rose-tinted glasses on me for here. And so I like it. It's totally unrealistic. Zero regard for the plot at all. But it's just kind of fun. And so I liked that too.
Yeah, and and that's the one scene, or not the mushroom cloud, but the like seeing the
fridge fucking fly through the desert.
No. When the dolls are burning up, like those are really cool effects. Like that looks awesome. I don't know.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Is
also, if you're wondering, myth was busted. You can't survive a nuclear explosion inside of a fucking fridge.
Yeah, no.
It was one of the ones where they're like, no, obviously not. What the fuck?
That's a no for me, dog. The movie has a writing problem as well, with the themes in it. You know, there are themes of getting older and aging, and themes about the value of knowledge. I think the worst line in the movie was, "Knowledge is their treasure." No, it's not, Indy. No, it's not.
Shut the fuck up. Like at that point, I think they could have redeemed Shia LaBeouf's character in that moment. If when Indiana Jones says knowledge was their treasure, Shia LaBeouf just punched him in the fucking face, and then the credits rolled. It would have made the whole thing worth it.
It was genius. It was genius. Yes. Please, Spielberg, redo the movie with that.
Yeah. And then I don't care if there's aliens in it, if you just add that.
Yeah, I mean, initially, like, I was a very small child when this came out, and I was like, oh, I like everything except the aliens. And then I watched it again, and I'm like, oh, the aliens are the least offensive part about this movie.
Yeah. Still offensive. Don't get me wrong. Laziest alien design you've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
And it's bad and out of nowhere. But it's not the worst part of the movie.
Yeah. I was, fifth grade me was a different animal. But I watched it again, and then so I think this is my third viewing, and holy shit, it's not fun. There's a quote earlier in the movie though. I forget even who says it, but it's Jim Broadbent who says it. He says, "We seem to have reached the age where life stops giving us things and starts taking them away." Or,
yeah,
it's him who says it.
I think so.
It might be Indy. I don't know. Who cares?
No, it's not Indy. It's because somebody says it to Indy.
Okay. Yeah. So there's potential in that quote there, and I like the idea of an old guy who's a loser getting a second chance. Like that's fucking beautiful. Yeah. And Spielberg and Lucas just add so much nonsense into the movie that we never get a chance to focus on that specific theme.
Yeah. And they undermine it because he gains a son.
Yes. So I want to close out my portion of the review by saying, oddly enough, Logan, the movie Logan, I think is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. I think it absolutely nails that theme about someone who got too old, who outlived everyone that he loved, and he gets a second chance. And so I'm slightly optimistic about Indiana Jones 5 because James Mangold is directing that movie, not Steven Spielberg. Thank God. And so can we hope for the future? I really hope so. Phoebe Waller-Bridge is also involved in the writing. I think part of why No Time to Die was even good was because she came in and rewrote a lot of the stuff. I don't know exactly what she rewrote, but I know, I know whatever she touches is money. So, fingers crossed that they don't drop the ball on Indiana Jones 5.
Yeah, I'm respectfully optimistic as well. I did have one more critique of the movie.
Go for it.
The worst Wilhelm scream in cinemas in this.
Which one was it?
When they're driving the motorcycle through the library and there's just some nerd carrying books and there's no danger and he just lets out a Wilhelm scream and then slowly falls to the side.
I knew you'd pick that.
It's so bad.
So good.
And it's already run its course by the time this has come out. It's turned from like audio sound engineer gag to one another to just the tackiest shit in the world. And seeing that just so out of place and misused was the worst.
Yeah. Hate it. Alrighty.
Painful week.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say before we sign off?
Absolutely not. Thanks for sticking through this one with us. We have to torture ourselves every once in a while, so the good movies shine even brighter.
Yeah. You can watch Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull on Paramount Plus. You can watch Star Wars: The Phantom Menace Episode 1 on Disney Plus. I suggest you watch neither and watch Raiders of the Lost Ark or something. Yeah.
Agreed.
Alrighty, audience. Thank you. We love you. Goodbye.